Jim Schultz here for Calculated Risk, and don't forget, before we get rolling today, the best ways you can help us are liking the video or subscribing to the channel. Either one of those really helps us out a lot. So right out of the gates today, we're going to shoot from strength. Volatility, skew, and vertical spreads. I know you've been chomping at the bit to hear about this topic, so here you go. And the basic idea is this. You can set up a vertical spread that is the same distance out of the money on the put side, the same distance out of the money on the call side, and you actually see the pricing of those spreads is very, very different. Sometimes the put spread is more, sometimes the call spread is more. The reason why ultimately comes down to what is called volatility skew, so that's what I want to unpack here today, so let's go. And the idea behind volatility skew is basically this. When you look across an option chain, when you go out of the money, or even in the money for that matter, but we're typically looking out of the money. When you go out of the money, the implied volatility across the chain changes. It's not static, it's dynamic. And a lot of the time, it's going to change and move in a somewhat predictable way. And that predictable way is the following. When you're looking at the overall indexes, it's very common to see implied volatility rising as you go further out of the money on the put side. This is because a lot of investors are long stock, they're long delta, they want protection against a big market drop, against that crash type scenario. So they're bidding up the implied volatility on the out of the money puts. But then when you look at individual stocks, or some individual stocks, I should say, that have explosive growth potential. So in today's market, this would be like AMD. This would be like the newly minted, the newly IPO'd SpaceX. When you look at the call options, when you go further out of the money on these guys, you're going to see the implied volatility rising now here with the call options. You're not necessarily going to see it on the put side. You're going to see it on the call side. Because the market is showing you that while everybody's afraid of the big crashes in the indexes and the huge moves in the indexes are probably going to happen to the downside, when it comes to these individual stocks with incredible growth potential, the big moves and the doubling and the tripling, or even the 20, 30, 40, 50% moves oftentimes will happen to the upside. Now, they can also happen to the downside in individual stocks as well, don't get me wrong. But a lot of the time, that's not really on the table for the major indexes. But for individual stocks, it absolutely can and does happen, and so you see that reflected in the option chain when you look at the out of the money calls. And so really, volatility skew is nothing more than where is the market pricing the risk? Like, where is the market placing the risk in terms of the potential explosive moves? It doesn't tell you where the market's going to go. It doesn't tell you what's going to happen next. But it's just showing you a reflection of, where is the demand for big moves in that stock? Where is the money being placed across the option chain when it comes to out of the money put buyers and out of the money call buyers? Well, this relationship to risk and where this money is going has a direct implication on us when we want to put on something like a vertical spread. And that's what I want to unpack here today. So let's hop into the Tasty platform and let's set a couple vertical spreads up. Okay, so here I am inside of my Tasty trade platform. I've got SPY pulled up. This is the S&P 500 index. You can see the market is up huge here this morning in the pre-market. And let's set up a short put spread and compare it to a short call spread. And so when I'm measuring volatility skew, it's pretty simple to measure. I mean, right now, I'm not going to use the current price of SPY because the option chain is reflecting the closing price from Friday. And so let me go like 10 or 11 points out of the money on the put spread side. So I would sell maybe a 731 put and then buy a 726 put. And you can see right here that my credit collected is going to be about $1.34. Right, so a little bit on the low end. I mean, I typically am looking to collect at least 1/3 the width of the strike. So I'd probably want more like $1.70 or so out of a $5 wide spread. So this is definitely on the lower end when it comes to whether or not this would be a decent trade. But that's not necessarily the goal or the purpose for what we're doing here. But we went out of the money by approximately 10 points. We don't need a surgical level of precision when we're doing this. So you can see it's $1.34. Okay, easy enough. Let's do the same thing, and let's go to the call spread side now. So if I go up by 10 points, so I'll do maybe a 751 or even a 752 to make it, even a little bit closer to apples to apples. So if I do a 752, since SPY is obviously between 741 and 742. If I do a 752, 762, look at the price of this, or I'm sorry, 752, 757, not 762. Look at the price of this call spread. This guy is selling for almost $1 more. This is almost $1 more when it comes to the pricing of a put spread relative to a call spread. And the main reason why that is happening is because, again, let's go back to the put spread side. If I do my 731, 726 put spread, you can see, hopefully you can see fairly clearly, that I am selling low volatility and buying high volatility. And so I'm selling low and buying high when it comes to volatility. That's working against me. That's causing a lower net price on the vertical spread that I want to put on. Now, if I go back to my call spread side here, if I do a 752, 757, if you look at the implied volatility, it actually looks like I'm doing the same thing. Like it looks like I'm selling low and I'm buying high, but this is actually just a manifestation of this being in the pre-market. So right now you can see none of these numbers are moving. None of these numbers are reflecting the actual marketplace. And so this is probably just a stale quote when it comes to the actual metric coming into the marketplace. So here's another teachable moment that just kind of snuck into this video. Because if you look at the volatilities, the implied volatilities that are kind of neighboring this 757 strike, you see this 1537 looks a little bit out of place, right? I mean, I've got 1439, 1429, 1420, 14, 1391, etc. So this is not 1537. When the market opens today, it's probably going to be 14 or 14.1 or 14.15. And so because I'm selling high and buying low, that is effectively allowing the net price on the vertical spread to be more favorable for me as the vertical spread seller. And so that's volatility skew and how it directly impacts vertical spreads, which again is a very important strategy that we all use pretty much all the time, especially beginner traders. You guys should be living with vertical spreads. You guys, in my opinion, should only be doing vertical spreads. Okay, and now to see the other side where there's some call skew, look at AMD. So with AMD, I've got the stock at 511. If the stock is at 511, let me go down maybe 30 points out of the money on the put spread side. So you see, I could sell a 480 and then buy a 570, and I would pick up about a $4 credit for that short put spread. Again, we're setting this up the same way that we set it up in the major indexes. Hopefully you can see when I look at implied volatility, there's not a huge difference between these two now, but still I am selling relatively low and I am buying relatively high. Okay, so that was downside skew that we saw in the major indexes. Now let's take a look at Tesla, and we're going to see something a little bit different. Now we're going to have a little bit of upside skew, maybe even some flattened skew across the chain. So you've got Tesla at 405. Let's say I go in and I sell maybe a 390, 385 put spread. You can see the implied volatility is right here. Again, these might be somewhat stale, and so they may not be a perfect representation of what is happening when the market will indeed be open for business. But you can see I'm collecting about $1.90. That's not too bad. That's actually a decent price. But then if I clear that away and I go to the upside and I sell a 420, 425, you're going to see I'm getting about the same price. And so here with Tesla specifically, we don't have pronounced upside skew, but we do have kind of flattened out skew. So you can see that the market, it's pricing in potentially explosive moves of big, risk on the downside and the upside equally with Tesla. And this is oftentimes what you will see with the individual stocks. You might see upside skew, as we alluded to, in the first part of the video. You also might see some flattened out skew. But hopefully now you can see and recognize how to monitor the implied volatility across the chain to understand where the market is pricing risk. So there you go. That's how volatility skew factors into something like a vertical spread. I mean, we saw downside skew, a little bit of upside skew, even flattened skew. So you effectively have three different scenarios, and we kind of saw all three there in the video inside of Tasty Trade. So if you are a brand new trader and you're using vertical spreads all the time, which you should be doing, this is hopefully helping you understand how to look at implied volatility, how it factors into your spreads, and I will see you guys in the next one.